Shalom. This is a dream the Lord gave me this week, and very unusually, it's a repeat dream. I actually start in the same place that I was in another dream way back in 2009 about a massive earthquake in California. So it was given to me on the 2nd of August, publishing it today on the 7th of August. And I can think of no other time that I've revisited a dream, and I've had 2 revisits this week. This is the first one. I go back to the scene of a previous dream in 2009, which I describe on this channel about a massive earthquake in California. This revisiting dream now wasn't as vivid or frightening for me. I'm observing from a calm, safe distance in this dream. It develops on from the first dream 12 years ago as I see some more details of supernatural escape. Now, not all of this symbolism means something to me, but he's been wanting me to get it out because I think it means things to other people, his children, and people who aren't yet saved. I sat down to write this up, record, and get this out yesterday, but the second I sat down, the opposition was intense all day with continued attempts at attacking my children. The Lord is answering prayers in making my children stronger, but I was tired from the battle. But I would like to start by saying thank you to those of you who I know are interceding for me and my children. Thank you. There are a few of you I'm in contact with, and I want you to know that I intercede for you too, and ask the Lord to give you all you need to be glorious in Him. And I pray for everyone who comes across this small website and channel in the service of the Lord. I pray it strengthens, alerts, and helps all the ones He wants to reach in Yeshua's name. So this dream, given on the 2nd of August, has 4 short sections. They're all related. First section, I'm observing from a distance a beach in Los Angeles. I know this beach from many years ago. Santa Monica Pier is at a slight distance behind me, and I'm looking north to the first main beach that edges the Pacific Coast Highway. To my knowledge, this highway travels the coast from LA to San Francisco and possibly beyond. So where I'm looking, perhaps that's the geographical area that this shaking affects. I am waiting to see an old acquaintance of mine go onto the beach, not necessarily to meet with her, because I'm some distance away, just sort of observing. Now, little background, she was a church lady who hosted me while I worked for a Californian church many years ago when I was a student, and her church had all the early warning signs of the shallow American church of today in real life, even back then. Now, this last week, since the dream, I've also realized that the City of Angels refers to fallen angels, not holy angels, because the name doesn't define which angels. I had assumed, because I was already a believer when I worked out there, that it meant holy angels, which is also what a lot of people assume. And I feel now that it was an intentional naming as a signal to demons that this is a place marked out for massive demonic activity and influence across the globe. Show business. Yuck. The church lady I am waiting to see arrive on the beach is actually called Sandy. I am watching for her from a distance. She never arrives. The beach is sandy. The Bible says, do not build your house on the sand, for when storms come, your house will fall. But everyone who hears these words of mine and does not act on them is like a foolish person who built their house on sand. The rain fell, the torrents raged, and the winds blew and beat against that house, and it fell, and great was its collapse. Matthew 7, verses 26 to 27. Now the beach had a sign in the dream in a foreign language, which looked a bit like ancient Hebrew to me, and I understood the sign to mean many beaches, meaning much damage to many beaches, I think. But the beach was empty, except for some large inflatables some distance off, like a bouncy castle. Inflatables are very, very fragile structures full of hot air. Then there was a shaking in the dream. Now, really unusually, I didn't feel it. I only knew it had happened. There was a split in the earth, and I saw water rushing from between 2 cracks, large, from the land into the sea. And then I saw a man in a hut near the sea, and he said, "Oh my," and then he used the name of God in vain, as he saw the water rushing towards him, and he had nowhere to go, because he was standing with his hut and the sea behind him, but the water was rushing up out of the cracks in the ground towards the sea. And I would never say the exclamation he said now, and I knew this to mean he was not a believer, but he was now in terror and is realizing in the dream that God's judgment is real. I felt no fear watching him, only a sense of, it is good that humans see that God is real at last. In the dream, I felt loyal to God, not to man. Now, this man, he looked about 55, but he could have been quite a lot older, as he was healthy, fit, suave, upper middle class, with short facial hair, very well groomed, in chino shorts and a blue light sweater. I then describe in the dream as if I'm recalling something that happened. What I am recalling is a really kind man, younger, good looking, so kind, and in the dream I say, he just lifted me up above it all, in a helicopter sort of plane, like I was describing how I survived this terrible shaking. And I know I'm clearly talking about Jesus, Yeshua in Hebrew. I'm proclaiming him after the event in the dream from within the dream. So two different men. One is kind of successful in the world's eyes, and has a wooden hut behind him, but he's in terror of God. And then I'm describing Yeshua as a different kind of man, and how he saved me supernaturally out of this event. It was a clear, sunny, clear sky day. There was no warning before the shaking. Now, re the beach in the dream, I did wonder why I was meeting at the tacky beach, is what I called it in the dream. Los Angeles is tacky to me. When I'd seen it in real life many years ago, this beach was always very popular and much busier. But in the dream now, it was very, very empty. Like I could hardly see anyone on it, if anyone. Was it early morning, or was it in another lockdown? Was the man in a hut, or was it a wooden hut cafe? Was it his home, like his beachfront home? Was it a business, a boathouse, or something? I'm afraid I can't tell you those details. So the second scene, I'm now with a young man and a woman, excuse me, and they are helping me. So again, I'm being supernaturally helped by the Lord. Now I'm in snow, so from sand to snow, with rocks around us, almost like a passage through semi-caves, like a mountain pass of some kind. And I had on a snowsuit and skis. Now, I knew they had provided me with everything. We were walking on skis over the snow. It was not sunny or bright, but clear air, almost a dusky feel. Literally, it felt beautiful, more like a pastime with very protective, caring, trustworthy people than an escape. And I loved it. I've never skied before in real life. The rocky landscape felt as if it was keeping us hidden and safe. Next, the man then cleared up every bit of our equipment, clothing into his Jeep. Um, so he even shook off the snow or sand in the dream, and it was hard to tell which. So there's some connection between this scene and the previous sandy beach scene, and quickly moved my ski suits into the boot, I think Americans call it the trunk, of his vehicle. Suddenly, a small, nasty, controlling man came from somewhere I didn't see, and he started saying, "You can't put that stuff in your car." Like just a horrible, horrible, whiny little voice. The young good man knew he was coming. That was why he was working fast to clear our equipment and clothing up. Before the nasty small man had appeared, I watched the young good man carefully go back 3 times to get every single piece of our skis and snow clothing, which we put in a pile near the Jeep, as he knew it would be needed again in the near future. And I was watching this safely from inside the back seat of the Jeep. Like, I don't remember getting in the Jeep, it was just suddenly I was in the Jeep. The nasty man, and he was thin and weaselly, started screeching in the dream, "You can't do that! You just can't do that!" Like, the young man had finished, he just carried on calmly. So the other guy was manifesting his control spirit. And I said through the slightly opened window, "But it's his car." The man was just all impotent rage and skinny and anger and obnoxious control. He didn't frighten or achieve anything, just exposed his controlling spirit more. The good man had made us ready to leave and then packed up, and just at the last moment he knew Nasty was coming, and so Nasty didn't stop anything. The woman was in the front right seat, which I've just realised is the passenger seat in the dream. But in the UK, the front right seat is the driver's seat, so I wasn't seeing a UK car. So this was showing America, because you guys drive on the side that I saw in the dream, perhaps. which would link it in with the first Californian coast beach scene. These are my thoughts. Where are mountains for skiing in America near or related to the West Coast? I'm wondering. Where does sand and snow both happen in one's pastimes? Is there a state that has both? This is just my thoughts. Please comment below. Scene 3. The next scene changed, and I'm now in the young couple's house, so I'm still with the same protective, kind people. They have 2 dogs. These dogs were incredible. Normally, dogs in my dreams always represent demons, as black pit bulls, smallish and ghastly. They've always represented Jezebel spirits in my dreams, as the Lord shows me the spiritual dynamics that he is destroying in a particular real-life situation. But these dogs were big, soft Alsatians. The 2 dogs and me were in a small welcoming room inside their house. It was funny how much they nuzzled me and they stayed close to me. Now, this is just an additional note. I've literally just searched as I was typing this up to make sure I was spelling Alsatian correctly, and the result came up saying the American Alsatian was bred in California in the 1980s. I didn't know this. Apparently us Brits call them German Shepherds, but all I heard and knew in the dream was that they were Alsatians. So, another California reference. Quick context. I've never owned a dog. A few years ago, I thought and prayed seriously about getting a puppy, researching all kinds of breeds, and I really wanted an Alsatian puppy dog as an extra layer of protection, but didn't feel it was practical. I left it to the Lord, especially in the times we're in with the practicality and expense of a pet. So the Lord was so lovingly using this heart desire and picture of protection, which I'd semi-forgotten actually until I was writing this up for you. The Lord uses images in our dreams so lovingly, clearly, and personal to us. Now, in the dream, these beautiful soft Alsatians were nudging me in tenderness all the time. I woke up still being able to feel them. They would surround me, their noses right up in my face and torso, very warm and affectionate. One was younger, more closer to me all the time. The older one was wiser, with a beautiful, slightly darker coat. Here's the amazing thing. In the dream, I could hear them talking to each other and thought in the dream, that almost sounds human. Deep, powerful communication noises guarding me, even though they belonged to the couple. I've never felt like that around dogs in real life. Like the couple had told them to protect, love me, and they did. There was no awkward meeting. Literally, they were around me, not the couple, the whole time. And then the last scene, I was then in the kitchen of their house, the couple's house. I only saw a few details. I was sitting at their table waiting for a meal. She was preparing food. But I've never seen this before in a house. The whole cooking prepping area was behind a thin wooden screen that came up to her torso and stretched along the whole length of the room. She was chatting and talking with me, walking up and down this thin strip of kitchen, but I only saw her face and upper body. I couldn't see the food or her utensils. So, although she was preparing the meal, I just saw her good face. And the Lord brought this Bible quote to my mind, and he said to them, "It is not yours to know times or seasons that the Father put in place by his own authority," in Acts 1:7, and in Matthew 24, verses 36 to 42, and again in Mark 13:32 to 33, he says, "And concerning that day and hour no one knows, not even the angels in heaven," angels again, but holy ones this time, "nor the Son, but only the Father. Be on your guard and stay alert, for you do not know when the appointed time will come." I.e., in the dream, if I'd been able to see the food and her hands, I would have been able to see exactly how near the meal was to being ready, but I wasn't being allowed to see that. She was talking, though, in the dream to me about the times, the bad issues in people, how bad it's getting out there. And in the dream, I felt hungry and was hoping dinner was soon, much like Jesus discusses the times in Matthew 24, verses 36 to 42 above here. And the table and chair I was at had a lovely, solid wooden bench and seat table, like a high back. It had a high back, like the other side had two, like a compartment. There was nothing on the table. There was nothing else in the room. The door to out there was out of my sight behind the table to the left, but she could see it as she was up to my right against the right side of the wall, and she would move her eyes in that direction to show out there. But I instinctively knew in the dream that the door was currently still open. And when I woke, I heard and was praying about the dream, and the Lord said, gleanings. And I asked for a Bible passage, and he said Isaiah 17. I really suggest that you read it. It's all about gleanings and the Lord's judgment. Now, this is a revisitation of a previous dream, as I started saying at the beginning, of a massive earthquake in California, which I do document on this channel, so go and find one of the previous videos with a title of something like Massive Earthquake in California. But it continues now with more detail and more proximity to end-time conversations within the dream from the Lord's messengers and protectors, angels, true holy angels, which in Hebrew is the same word as messenger, envoy, ambassador from God, malach. That's what angel means in Hebrew. It means messenger from God, ambassador or envoy from him. This dream also contains more comforting information towards the protection of God's angels around his children and the preparations for the wedding feast in his house. Shalom. And I pray this blesses you, alerts you, awakes you, and causes you to pray for loved ones in this area and for us all in these times. Amen.